And in summation, please cancel Love Island.
Perfect. Oh, hey there. I was just finishing some correspondence. What I would like to talk about today that's very important is this new broker fee law that they just passed in Massachusetts. Lou Gordon with Century 21 Revolution, and today we're going to go over the new law effective August 1st concerning broker's fees for rentals. So what they just did is they passed this law that states that from now on, only the party who originally contracted with the broker can pay that broker's fee. So for example, if I'm listing a property for an investor, I can only charge the investor the broker's fee. I can't charge an incoming renter for that fee. However, what it also means is that if a renter comes in with an agent, so similar to a sale, I'm representing the owner, another agent is representing the person who's going to come and occupy the property, the owner can't pay the broker's fee on the other side of the deal either. The renter would have to pay whatever they contracted with the broker to pay. The reason that this law was passed is that we have a cost of living crisis in Massachusetts, and we're not the only area. It's very expensive to rent, especially near Boston Metro. A lot of times, incoming renters are responsible for first month's rent, last month's rent, a security deposit, and a broker's fee, which if you're talking about an average one-bed rental in the Boston area, which could be around $2,500 a month, you might be talking about $10,000 in upfront costs before the person can move into that property. So on its face, it's great that the legislature is trying to find ways to fix this cost of living crisis. However, there are a few problems that present with the law that they pass. So number one, it doesn't actually eliminate renter-paid broker fees. Now, in the example that I just gave, if a person reaches out to an agent and says, I need help finding an apartment, which the market is tough in Boston, and it can be very difficult to do this on your own without the help of a licensed real estate professional. So in that case, they would still contract with an agent, and as long as the agent is showing them a property that they themselves are not listing, that renter would still be responsible for a broker's fee. Problem number two is the messaging surrounding this thing. So if you read most news articles that have been written since this law was passed, you're going to see over and over again, Massachusetts ends renter-paid broker fees. That is not what happened. That state did not end renter-paid broker fees. And in fact, I think it's damaging that it's being sold in this way because people are going to go out thinking that they don't have to pay fees and are going to find out that a lot of the system still operates with them paying a broker's fee. It's frustrating to see this in Massachusetts because we typically do not do this type of performative politics where we pass a law and say it does one thing, but it actually does something else. You typically see that more in the national politics, but at the state level, we're typically pretty good about passing laws that actually do fix problems. We pass a millionaire's tax, and now you get free school lunches, and people without degrees can go to free community college. That's more the kind of thing that we do. Number three, you often with these kinds of things run into the law of unintended consequences. Great example of this, to go on a little bit of a tangent, in the South, they brought kudzu in a long time ago to feed cattle because kudzu grows really fast, and they were like, hey, here's this food source that we can grow, it's easy to grow, and we'll have lots of food for the cattle. Which is great, except that kudzu grows all over the place and it like chokes the landscape, and it's very difficult to get rid of once it's set in, and people didn't necessarily think that that was going to be a problem. So what does that mean for this law? Well, in New York, they passed a similar law where they got rid of broker fees, and basically property owners just rolled that cost into increased rents. So even though they might have reduced some of the upfront costs for renters, they were still paying for it on the back end with relatively higher rents so that the landlords wouldn't have to eat that cost alone. I know it's a lot, and we're sort of at the end of the rental season right now. We're coming up on September 1st, so we're not going to see the full effects of this until we get into the busy season next year. But if you do have any questions, if you are a potential renter, if you are someone who owns property and you want to know how this is going to affect your listings, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to have a consultation with you and go over how this might affect you. Look forward to talking to you soon.